Radna. Actually, that thing was the beginning of this was a lot in Bahasa. So can I please hear some people speak English? Do you guys know English? No? Uh-oh. Because my part's all in English. And besides English, I'm just going to be able to say, Jadi. See, you guys, wait. I also wanted to mention that if you guys have any questions throughout this part of the presentation, feel free to ask, okay? And interact if you want, because it makes me better at what I do, so I'm not just looking at me talking. Okay, all right. So, so when we're talking about having a strong background and why ATS-friendly CVs are important, it's because of the workforce competition, especially, well, for fresh graduates and for you guys here in Indonesia. I'm surprised always at how many people apply for all the jobs that I see, right? It's crazy. Okay, so your CV is your most important tool in many aspects. It's going to be one of the first things that they see. So it's going to give you, it's going to place you. You're either going to go into a big pile and blend in with everybody else, or you are going to stand out and then get an interview. And then if you have those other skills, if you're ready for that part, then you're going to be once again put at the top. All right. So for internationalization and modernization. Okay, we speak about this later, but knowing how to write and speak in English is important because most people in business today, whether they're working for an English company or not, are going to be asked parts of their interview and maybe expect the CV in English. And that's why one thing I like about my job is just I get to help my members prepare their CVs, help them with little tips that are different in English, okay? Because there's two different ways to do CVs, or there's not two, but doing a CV here in Indonesia can be a lot different than what is expected from you in a Western culture. All right. Okay. So talking about electronic and the electronic scanning, and if you're submitting online, which is where most people do to open their horizons so that possibly they are selected or have a better chance of getting selected somewhere if they're not applying to a direct place. So first of all, apply only to the roles you're qualified for, right? Because if they see you apply for something that you're not really qualified for, then maybe you apply something that you are qualified for later. At the same company, they're going to be like, wait, he's the one that wanted to be a doctor and now he wants to be a teacher. Your credibility is going to be shot if you act like you're good at everything, or or they're like, oh, never got a doctor job. All right, so include the right keywords, and it speaks about this to a little bit later also, but just when you're looking at the job description and the qualifications, picking those words out. Let me see, I've got. Okay, picking those keywords out that they used are going to make them excited and maybe even be in any electronical search. So they're looking for those words in your resume, in your cover letter if they want one, because they know that some people are just applying to everything. But if you have their exact keywords match 10 out of 12, it's going to increase your chances of being selected. So including the right keywords. And if you really want a job, redesigning your resume for that specific job and using all their keywords so that you don't just look like you're qualified, you look like you are perfect for them. All right, so put your keywords in context. So make sure that you're not just saying, oh, I am very, and then a list of their keywords, right? Apply what you already have on your standard CV and try to build those words into sentences so that they don't just see their keywords. They're like, okay, this guy is good at, I guess, being resourceful. But if you can restructure the points about you that you want to get across in a well-designed sentence, that is going to increase your chances a lot. All right, so choose the right file type. This one, PDF is good, things that can be opened and not altered, because sometimes if you get sent something from PowerPoint or use a different computer, like it's like, oh my goodness, my formatting's gone. I'm in trouble, right? So if you send your CV, sorry if I say resume, I'm from America or USA. So if I accidentally say resume, that's what I mean. I'm talking about CV. All right. So PDF is good because it's a saved file. Usually it can't be altered unless, well, I mean, it can be altered, but not in the electronical transmission. Okay. So make your resume easy to scan, both by humans and by robots. I'm not as sure about the robots because I've never done that, but humans, like if they just want the basic information about you, if they have the 3 top people that they are thinking about interviewing right there in a stack of papers, if they're like, well, this guy's, if it's easy to read, if they don't have to read one whole page of that looks like it, that has 1,000 words on it, if they can get all that information from a well-designed, well-displayed CV, then, and they know where to look, they already have that information more available, but they also know that if you're designing something for them later, if you have to put together something in writing that you are able to design and just use language and your written communication abilities in a better way. So, all right, number 6. So don't include too much fancy formatting. Yeah, if it's too busy, it might be a little bit more easy for you to understand because you were the one sitting there designing it and you're like, oh, at this point, they're supposed to think this, and at this point, and the formatting while you're creating it helps you to break things apart. But if somebody looks at it from fresh eyes, they've never seen any part of it, they might think, what is all this and where do I start? It might be confusing. They'll be like, okay, which one of these mumbo jumbo thingies had there's the work experience. Whereas if it's just clearly listed in easy formatting, so much better. All right, and I mentioned this, but don't apply to tons of jobs at the same company because once again, it will make people think, oh, he's just throwing his resume or his CV out there in every single direction. I wonder if Indomar called him back, because it seems like he's applying to them as well. I don't think he cares. He just wants a job. And plus, companies want you to feel like you would be a perfect fit for that job. They don't want to think, or you don't want them thinking, oh, he liked the salary, he liked the working hours and the vacation. No, they want you thinking, oh, well, yeah, that stuff is good. But if you feel confident that all those job descriptions and the job description and work experience, if you feel like that is a perfect fit, then you apply for that job so they know that you're not just throwing it out there at that company. Throw it at a lot of companies, but not at the same one, okay? All right, so avoid tables, text boxes, logos, images, graphics, graphs or other visuals, columns and headers or footers. Like it's kind of the same thing that we mentioned before, but if you just put it on a easy to read and reference again, because like here, it's not, this one isn't too unclear, but there's so many sections and I don't know, you might get lost in some of that. Whereas if it was more open, it might look better. But definitely having too many of those is going to make it too busy and too just not fun for the CEOs or HR to scan. Okay, so another topic, things about what to avoid. So uncommon section headings, stick to conventional labels like education, work experience, and technical skills so that the ATS knows how to sort your information. And this is not a place to get creative with like where I've made an impact. This one kind of speaks for itself, but yeah, if you try to use a different word or a synonym for education, I wish I had a thesaurus here because there's gonna be a lot. Stick to common headings and also the words that describe you, all right? Because a synonym is not exactly a synonym always in English, right? You won't be able to say, here I can find this word. It's a synonym because it doesn't always mean the same thing unless you put it in a different context. All right. So hyperlinks on important words. So some systems will display only the URL and drop the words you link from. So don't link anything from anything, don't link from anything important, like your job title or an accomplishment, and instead paste your URL itself or link out from a word like website or portfolio. And don't do these less common fonts. Maybe 1 in 10 people, like there's a lot of you listening. There might be some people who say, that's not true. I used Gregorian and somebody liked it. Well, they might have created Gregorian, okay? Because maybe it has worked once, but it's not going to work every time because people are going to once again be like, I don't want to read that whole CV because it's kind of hard. And do you know anybody who is just super not lazy? Are you going to look at the easy one or the hard one if you want to get more information? All right. All right. So here are some elements you can use without tripping up. All right, so bolds, italics, underline. However, stick to using underlines and headings and URLs. Okay, and then colors. It's just important, or it's good to know that the ATS returns all text in the same color. So make sure your color choices aren't vital for better understanding of the text of your resume. And then bullets. Bullets are an important component of any resume, but stick to a standard cycle or square-shaped ones. And anything else could get messy. Anything else could get messy. All right. All right, so you're almost there. Some of the main points: easy to read template. Start with that. Find an easy template that works for you, and maybe find an example of the same exact template so that you can look at these things and say, okay, so that's a good idea, what that person did. Okay, because yeah, it's good to be creative, but reinventing the wheel over and over doesn't make sense. If you can find something that somebody used and it's not crazy or will only work if you apply to Google, then stick with what you can find that has been proven to work. All right. Once again, read through job listings for keywords. This one, it can't be said enough, because they want to know that this job is good for you, not that you found this job on the internet. If your CV and maybe cover letter is designed, or if you're a perfect fit, they'll be like, nah, let's at least interview this guy or girl. Update your resume with appropriate keywords based on the job preferences. So yeah, if you really want that job, then don't just have a file on your computer that says CV 2022, right? Have a file on your computer that says CV that job, and take some of those keywords, take some of those things that they maybe alter, change your experiences. Like, I've got a lot of experiences, but I usually only put the educating ones on there, because that's all that matters. They don't need to know that I did things when I was 10, you know? It just makes it busier. All right, so customize your resume for each employer. Use appropriate file formats. So don't make it too busy. Don't make it so that they have to remember where to look. Avoiding header and footer details, and avoid graphics. Just making it easy to read and passable for the electronic scanning part of the job search or the review process is going to help you. All right, let me move on. So these are a couple CVs that are CV ATS friendly, okay? They've got just all the basic information, right? And if you are able to put those 12 keywords into this, maybe explain that you would be a good fit for that, because it's just say, I'm excited to apply here because it seems like a perfect fit, right? One little sentence, and then they can look at your, that's all in Bahasa. They can look at your work experience and your education and see, yeah, he's right. And if you're good at skills, or if your skills include coming up with good skills, put some there, right? That would apply to the job. So education, All right, that you guys aren't going to change that, but just notice that these ones are easy to scan. All right, so, and this is an important thing to remember. A good CV is not enough. Your skills and certifications are more important. And because if you can get a perfect CV through the electronic and to make the HR interested in hiring you, your skills, the ones that you can list and the things that you've done that are applicable or the same as that job. That's why you make every resume for a job that you want for the job you want, is because you can leave out certifications or add them, because you do want it on one page usually, so that they're not flipping to page 5 to find out exactly where that information was. So IELTS or TOEFL preparation and certification, multicultural community understanding. So just knowing the cultures, at least knowing about the cultures that you might be going to, or that will have an effect on what you're doing with your job there, or if school or anything. All right. So communication and public speaking skills, that is a lot of practice. That's what I actually like to focus on. This part of people getting ready for CVs and everything is just practicing those. Okay, so multinational or multicultural or community, MNC, use English in daily business conversation. All right, so it's like I said, even people who have had businesses here for 15 years are starting to realize that they need English if they want to go global, right? If they want to build if they want to build to the next level for their business. Because if you want international investors, if you want to get more clients from a Western culture, having a good background in that language, in the culture, is good. All right. This is okay. So this has to do with the Indonesian government scholarship program. I'm a little less Indonesian than most of the people in here. So if you guys have any questions about that, I'd refer you to Leo, but I don't even really know anything except for what is written on the top. Okay, and these are the different levels of, okay. So see, these are the different levels of like your abilities, right? So these ones, I'm a little bit more, I know these ones a lot more, but this is, no matter on what kind of visa or tier you're looking at, being familiar with this stuff is always useful, because I know a lot of people who have tried to pay for the IELTS or TOEFL because they're like, oh, I can do that. Oh yeah, I got a tier 1 once. They're not prepared for that specific test. All right. Better English, better life, because this says because English is no longer supplementary. It's a little bit true. There's a lot of signs in Indonesia. How many say exit, right? Guys, that's English. In any airport you go through, it says exit and then the local language. And you can get through most countries with English. All right. This thing keeps on coming up. All right. So importance of studying English. I want you guys to, we've got a little bit more time. I want you guys to, if you guys can, turn on your mics or put this in the chat. Try to make that into a sentence. Or say no in the chat so I know no one's going to do it. Okay. Oh, yeah, you guys feel free to, feel free to just say what you think that says. Okay, good. Got a couple answers. They all kind of came a little quick at the end, so I didn't get a chance to read all of them. But yes, well, you could make a lot of sentences out of that, but this is my point today. Being clear is more important than big sentences. That's one thing that we focus on at Wall Street is not making sure you can recite all 12 tenses and use them perfectly, but becoming confident enough to understand which tense you're hearing. Being clear is more important than big sentences. I have helped too many people go over their CVs and I'm like, this sentence right here, and it's like 3 lines. I don't really know what that is saying at all. So can you break it into like 3 sentences so that I know? And it's in English, I speak English. All right, what about this one? Okay, good, guys. All right. This is also true, especially like, well, the question mark, a different punctuation at the end changes the sentence completely, but knowing commas and everything like that is important. I say this to prove my point sometimes. This is an example of that. Because this sentence says, I love spending time with my grandparents, Lady Gaga, and Spider-Man, right? So it sounds like your grandparents' names are Lady Gaga and Spider-Man here because you didn't add the second comma after Gaga, before and. So that means you like, if you did, that would mean you like to hang out with your grandma and grandpa and watch Lady Gaga and Marvel movies. All right, here I've got one more of those for you guys. Uh-oh. Okay, I left a word out, so that is going to be confusing. I'm gonna. Okay, I left out tenses. So I'm sorry, guys. That little trick, I do that sometimes, but I did this this morning, and I left out the tenses. But without it, it didn't make sense. This is true because no, you don't need to know all of them and be able to say them perfectly, but you do need to be able to understand them and know when you're not trying to answer with 2 or 3 different tenses. knowing just to make sure that the sentence is clear. Like going back to when I said breaking 3 sentences into, breaking one big sentence into 3 is not as important, is better to break it down, because if people know what you're trying to say, that is what matters. But if you know, no, I kind of switched tenses here, being confident in those 12 tenses is important, because just for your awareness, if you can get good at all of them, great. But just having the confidence to speak in all of them is important. Okay. Anyway, say yes to achieving your dreams, and thank you. That's all on my side, guys. Does anybody have any questions?